Let's talk about, Ali, the finances and what Trump said today on Twitter. For the record, I have no financial interests in Saudi Arabia or Russia, for that matter. I don't know why he threw that in there. Any suggestion that I have is just more fake news, of which there is plenty. What's the truth there?
The truth is that at 9:15 a.m., the president made my job a lot easier today, because that is about the easiest tweet to prove.
Hasn't he bragged on the opposite?
Oh, he's talked about it. He talked about the business that he does with Saudis. He says they do a lot of business with me. There are several examples going back into the 90s with a prince who has now had a falling out with the royal family, but he was Prince Alwaleed. He got Donald Trump out of a pickle by buying his yacht. He got him out of another pickle for $325 million by buying him out of the Plaza Hotel. In 2000, I'm trying to remember the year, the Saudi government, not a prince associated with them, the Saudi government bought an entire floor of one of Donald Trump's buildings across the road from the United Nations.
As one does.
As one does. That's just in the past. In most recent history, both in New York and Washington, we've seen remarkable increases in revenue for the Trump Hotel from the Saudis, who have come here to lobby. They spend more money on lobbying than pretty much any other country. And in his hotel in Chicago, 168% increase in revenue, rental revenue. So the president's enmeshed with the Saudis in many ways. Now, the technicality about whether he has any businesses in Saudi Arabia, that doesn't exist. I think in 2016, there were 8 registered Trump companies in Saudi Arabia, all of which were withdrawn by the end of 2016. So maybe the tweet is talking about something very specific and technical, but Donald Trump has more involvement and is more enmeshed with the Saudis than any president in American history.
Take a half day, go home early, will you please?
I would take that.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.